It is Chill Wednesday and we're doing something a little bit different, something that I haven't done before, but I had told you guys that I would be trying new things on these Wednesdays to change it up. So we're actually hopping on a call with a guest, and it's none other than Art, formerly of Grimmspeed. He's in sort of a similar situation that I'm in, where he was suddenly fired from his job. So we got to talking and decided to hop on a call and share our experiences with you guys. So if you have any questions that you'd like to hear either of us answer, let us know. And if you want to see some more collaborations, we're all ears.
A lot of people that have been following both of us know we're in kind of the same boat, different circumstances potentially to have gotten here, but we're both happily unemployed at the moment. Is that correct? Yep. Well, I figure we do this then. Let's introduce ourselves for audience that might not know who we are, and maybe talk about our experience at the jobs that we were at. How about we start with you?
Yeah, so most of you guys, if you didn't already follow along, know me as Kevin from Grimmspeed or FT Speed. I was the media manager there for about 8 or so years, which meant I managed the media team and made videos and was essentially the face of the company. So you saw me in all the videos. That's how most people know me. A little background on myself. I actually started as just, a photographer, videographer that filmed videos for Yo. If you guys don't know who Yo is, he was my previous boss. He has moved on since, but I came on as just, doing a little bit of everything. I shipped stuff. I took product photography. I shot the videos and did a little bit of social media as well. And that kind of blossomed into what I did there for the 8 years, making the videos and just doing the installs and the guides and all that sort of stuff that people know me for.
Right, and that's exactly what I know you for. I already knew what you did. I worked with you quite a lot in the past, and we followed a very similar path, just independently. So my story is, I started at Grimmspeed back in college in 2012. At the time, I was about a year from graduating and called up Justin Grimm and said, hey, is there anything I can do remotely? Back when remote work was unheard of. And he basically said, yeah, you can hop on some of the enthusiast forums that I'm a part of and interact with the people, get the community kind of behind Grimmspeed, because at the time they were still a pretty small company. So I did that for a while, and then as soon as I graduated with my marketing degree, I jetted up to the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, and Justin offered me a job. At the time, it was kind of bare bones, entry level. I did part-time assembly, and then moved my way into sales and stayed there for almost 9 years. By the time I exited out just a few weeks ago, I was the marketing manager of the media team. And really, that was one of my dream jobs when I was sitting there in college trying to figure out what I was going to do. So, I'm personally proud of myself for working my way up there. And man, it was a journey to get there, because when I pictured careers to be like is you go to school, you get your degree, you step outside and somebody hands you a job and that's the thing you're doing. Nobody ever told me that you'd go through 4 or 5 years of schooling to then work part-time product assembly and essentially cleaning toilets. So it's definitely an experience, and that's something we can kind of get into and talk about, but we all know where it culminated for the both of us, and it was the same path. We had a great experience and it ended in unemployment, which is one of the things that I want to touch on, and I'm sure a lot of people want to talk about too, is what exactly happened.
Yeah, you know what? Before we get into that, I'm curious. How did that relationship form with Justin?
I basically accosted him because he was still running a small company at the time. So I'm sure a lot of people were reaching out to him, especially people that were entry level. And so you can only hire so many of those. At that point, he had one person as the lead of each department. You had one customer service person, you had one full-time welder, one assembler. So there really wasn't room for a second person unless the other people decided they didn't want to be a part of the company, which the turnover rate at Grimmspeed is almost non-existent. Like, people love to stay there. There's a reason that I was there for almost a decade. You could probably say the same for Grimmspeed or other companies you've worked with, is when it's passion-based, people want to be there. They give it their all, and they want to be a part of it. So it was a struggle. I mean, I really had to sell myself, and thankfully so. I got my degree in marketing, so I was able to do it. But yeah, it was a challenge. What about for you?
So I had an old WRX bug-eye wagon. That was my first like tuner car that I picked up because I had just gotten into an accident. A drunk driver totaled my first car. And so my dad offered to buy me a new car. And my brother kind of got me into the car scene. And I decided I wanted to pick up a WRX. And so there was a local Subaru club that I joined after I got it. And that's how I met Yo. He was the one that kind of pushed me to go out to autocross events, go to the car meets. And then one day he saw that at the time I was doing YouTube videos for my girlfriend. And she was doing like makeup stuff and lookbook tutorials and all that sort of stuff, and I was filming that for her.
She's the one that got you into YouTube?
Yeah, well,
and the media path?
An ex-girlfriend, I guess. But yes, she was the one that kind of got me doing that. And Yo saw that I was doing these YouTube videos for her. Mm-hmm. And because I was posting them to like Facebook and such. And so he saw that and he was like, you should come do videos for us. And actually, before that had happened, he told me to come to California because they were going out to California to shoot an episode of Drifting with the All-Stars, I think is what it was called. I didn't actually end up going out there because it didn't work out. They did go out there and film it, but after they got back, they asked me to just, they offered me a full-time position. And I remember Yo was like, hey, film a video of the WRX for me, just to show me what you can do. And it was the dead of winter at the time, bunch of snow on the ground. So I took out my girlfriend at the time and a friend of mine out to some random parking lot in front of, an industrial building, the classic like spot where people take photos and stuff. And it was just covered in snow. And I remember just freezing my ass off while I was filming out there, and I had a camera set up. I was like doing donuts and stuff. I'm gonna try and find that video and clip it in here.
I was gonna say, I think people are gonna start asking you to release this footage.
I'm definitely gonna go find it because it is bad.
Yeah, that is a funny thing, is to reminisce about the work that you did in the past. I brought up some GoPro stuff. I had a folder on my computer labeled GoPro 3, which is like 9 years ago, and I brought it up, and it's just the grainiest, worst footage you can imagine. And I mean, it's amazing how far technology's come, but it's amazing how far I have come on camera and with my builds and with what I find exciting and what I present to the audience. But that's growth. That's what, and we'll kind of get into this, I think, is what are some of the takeaways from your time at the company and in this industry and in the last decade that you've grown up through it? Like, what have you accomplished? What have you done? And one of the big things that I look back at is just the caliber of everything I do is so much better and so much more skillful, unsurprisingly, because of how much time we put into it.
Yeah, I mean, I still go back and look at my old videos 8 years ago, and I'm just like, well, one, obviously I look completely different. I go back and I look and I'm like, who is this kid? He looks so funny, and it just makes me laugh. But man, if you guys go look at my old videos and just watch a minute of it, you can tell instantly, like, completely different just vibe and an aura about me, being able to present the information and just so much more relaxed and being able to have fun with it. Back then, when you're essentially trying to read off of a script and trying to get all the information through, you sound like a robot, and it shows.
Right. Yeah, it's a practice makes perfect thing. But while you were saying that, I actually was thinking about, before I made that first phone call to Justin to kind of initiate my interest in the job, I had a bit of a similar experience to you, but at the time I was living out in Colorado in my freshman year of college, and I was looking everywhere for a 240. I was super into the drift scene. I wanted a 240, couldn't find one, and I finally took some money out of the bank, cash in hand, and was on Craigslist and found a 2.5 RS instead and went, well, I'm in Colorado. It's an all-wheel drive manual car. It's a coupe. I've seen these things around. They look pretty cool. I didn't know much about Subarus at that point, but I went and picked it up, and that was the catalyst for my career choices and the community that I'm in, the things that I'm enthusiastic about. So it's kind of funny how those little changes when you're young, you could go one way or the other, a real fork in the road. I mean, I love drifting at this point, and I have a drift car as well, and that's something we can maybe talk about in a different episode. But you guys see behind me, just like Kevin has his car behind him, my Forester XT. So I've been a diehard Subaru guy that whole time because of one decision to buy one car, and then the friends that I met through it.
Yeah, like you said, it's the catalyst, right? And it's one of the reasons why I love the Subaru community so much, is because it's just one big old family. And speaking of that Forester, honestly, there was a time in my life where I wanted to modify a Forester, and I was looking at like STI Foresters with JDM swaps and such, because I love that hatchback look, but I couldn't afford like a WRX or STI hatchback, and that's why I ended up with the wagon. But I was also looking for Foresters at the time.
Right. Well, man, it's not too late. I know a lot of people that follow me would love to see you in a Forester, doing a Forester build on your channel. That would be awesome.
Yeah, my wife actually wants a Forester, so who knows? Maybe we can do something in the future.
Yeah, and funny enough, like I said, I've always been a big proponent for the drift community, and with Subarus, that's kind of tough. Now, my Forester is rear-wheel drive swapped, but what I've been wanting to do or meaning to do over the last couple of years is get a factory rear-wheel drive car to do more frequent drifting in, and that would be a BRZ or an 86. So, the one that's behind you, that's getting me inspired.
I can certainly help you with that.
Yeah, here you're the guy that knows about those things.
Yeah, I think one question that a lot of people are wondering, though, and probably why a lot of people tune into this, is what the heck happened to us? Like you said, we kind of are in similar situations, but a little bit different. So I want you to kind of go into your situation.
Yeah, well, I know we both made videos about this, which is kind of the standard thing you do these days. It's happening to a lot of people in our positions in the industry, in the aftermarket automotive industry specifically. I'm sure it's happening elsewhere, but that's what we've kind of got our eyes on. And the comments that I've had on my video, and I'm sure you have in yours, is, wow, this is happening a lot. The Fitment Industries guys, and then everyone on my video talks about you. They're like, oh, Kevin from Subi-Speed, the same thing happened to him recently. And what's the catalyst for it? So in my case, it really is a sign of a grander problem in the economy right now. So we all know this was a weird couple of years with COVID. In the automotive industry, there was a huge boom right when everything hit. People battened down the hatches, but then they realized, oh, government's giving us some money. I'm not traveling. I'm not really eating out at restaurants. How about I spend this money on car parts? And at Grimmspeed at the time, we saw a huge increase in direct sales, which means new positions opening up. Everyone's super busy. The manufacturing is going through the roof. So it's kind of a golden era. But the flip side of that is, after a few years, the industry tends to plateau and start heading in the other direction. Now, the people that cut the checks, they see that coming, and they have to make decisions based on that. And there's a number of ways you can move on when you're in that kind of situation. I've never been in the position of owning my own company and having to make a decision on 30 plus employees and how many of those employees you lay off or fire or retain. It's a tough decision. But ultimately, because economic hardship is coming, the companies have had to make decisions to let certain people go, not necessarily through any fault of those individual people. And that's kind of where I find myself. I mean, I'll be the first one to say that I gave Grimmspeed my all. When I came in and I punched that time card, I was on their time. I was passionate about what I did. I loved my career path, and I really didn't leave anything on the table. And so I stand by myself doing a great job, and I think they would say the same thing. In my kind of exit interview, they said that, hey, if there's an opportunity that opens back up, you're going to be the first guy we call. And so there's no bad blood between me and the company. It's just, this is the way that things go. I explained a little bit more in my video on my YouTube page, so check it out there. But otherwise, I'm a big glass half full type guy. And I think after 9 years at a business, it's time to move on, no matter who you are or what you're doing, just to be able to shed some of that complacency that you've built up around yourself.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have like a smoking bullet story that this is what they did and I hate them for it. Far from it. I want people to support Grimmspeed, despite me not being there. I'd love them to support me now that I'm solo and kind of moving down a separate path. And really just trying to remain as optimistic as I possibly can, because I just want to see the industry get back to where it was, thrive, and us be one big happy community once again. So,
yeah,
kind of a long-winded answer, but same thing on your end, man. I'd love to hear if you got any more details than that about your situation.
Yeah. Obviously a little bit different than your situation. I wish it could have gone like yours, a little bit more like yours. I wouldn't say there was bad blood between me and CB Speed and FT Speed, but of course I wish things had gone differently. I feel like the situation could have been handled a bit better, maybe on both parts. I don't want to say that I was overly ambitious, and to give some backstory to that, to what exactly happened is I was suddenly let go with no sort of warning, and I was told that it was essentially due to the website that I had created, because I had done, for the past 2 years, I've made my own YouTube channel and did the videos, and then I decided to, let's build my own website and sell my own merch, and I did some overlays as well, because I saw the hole in the market, and there was a previous employee that did the same thing, and it worked out for him. And so I thought, why not? Let's give it a try. Brought it up, and nobody saw a problem with it until it became a problem, and this whole thing happened. So completely out of the blue. But like you said, I see this as a very big opportunity for both of us to do something new and something not completely different, but taking a different path to it. We're gonna have, if we're working for ourselves, we're gonna have that sweat equity to that we know all the hard work we put in is for us, and it's not just to put in the time and clock in, clock out. So that's where I'm at right now, is just seeing what path is next for us and hopping on this call with you. It's something new that I haven't done before. We haven't ever done this before. So we figured that this would be a great opportunity to get some new faces in front of the camera and share our sides of the story.
Yeah, exactly. And we are so linked in what we did for a career that this really does make sense. I mean, you're great on camera. I've watched your videos for a long time. And seeing you in person, seeing you at events, interacting with people, it just kind of harkens back to what I do for my career. And so it kind of was a natural thing to join up and at least have this first conversation and air some of the stuff that we've been talking about in private, and a lot of people have been asking us about. And it really is a bit tough. I mean, everyone probably feels connected to their job in some way, but as a media representative, or even a face of a company, I think that gets taken to a whole new level.
It hits
because you get so linked to that company that you're with. At one point, I was no longer art with the Forester. I was art from Grimmspeed. And every time somebody talked about you, they'd say, "Oh yeah, Kevin from Subi Speed."
Exactly.
So you kind of get this, like, you're almost married to the name. You take on the name of the company. And then throughout your time there, it becomes a little bit difficult to figure out what's business and what's personal. And when there's a split like this, that becomes even more difficult, because you literally have to tear it down the middle, and you have to figure out, well, who am I? Who's the company? And where's the distinction between the two? So that's something that I've personally had to struggle with over the last week and a half since they let me go, and I'm sure it'll get easier. But what are your thoughts on that? You've been unemployed a little longer than I have.
It's funny you bring that up. Kind of, that identity crisis. Because when I was with the company, I remember back when literally my wedding day, I was walking after the party. I was walking to the bar, and it was by myself because my wife was already there with her friends, and I was walking by myself because I think I had to grab something for the car or something. And so I pulled my phone out, and I saw that I had some messages. I don't remember if it was like Instagram or something, but it was customers, and I chose to answer them on my wedding day. And I was like, hey guys, I'm sorry, I just got married, but I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So it was like I was always working. There wasn't any time where I was essentially off. Like if I had a message, I would just pick up the phone and answer it. And sometimes, my wife would get annoyed at that, but that was just who I was. It was part of that identity as Kevin from SubiSpeed. I always am open to helping people whenever it is, whatever it is they need.
Yeah, for better or for worse, sometimes to our detriment, because I sympathize with you. Sometimes I'm going to bed, it's midnight, and I would have pulled up the company Instagram, and there's questions about products and ETAs. I'm like, all right, 5 more messages and I'll head to bed, and it's another half hour and my eyes are hurting from the screen. But you have so much pride for what you do that when you see a message, somebody that's needing something or just wants to interact with you, maybe it's not about a product or anything, maybe it's just to say hey and compliment you on a video that you did, you feel obligated in the best way to answer. And I think that just speaks to a true passion for what you do, not even necessarily the company side of things, the money-making side of things, but really just enjoying what you do in that position. Talking to people, putting yourself out there. And so that is something that we take with us. I really think so, because there are a lot of stuff we have to leave behind. You grow a social media on with a company like that, and they retain ownership of the social media. If you got them 100,000 followers on YouTube and you're gone, they keep the 100,000 and you're at 0. And so that's a tough thing, but there's lots of things that you take away, like the skills. And those are well worth the experience and the outcome as far as I'm concerned, because it's prepared me for that next phase that we're both kind of at the footsteps of. Absolutely.
And like you said, that skill set is not something that we would have built otherwise if we didn't go through what we did. So we're both grateful for that. I know we are. We wouldn't be who we are without Grimmspeed, without SubiSpeed, FT Speed. We wouldn't be in this situation and have the skill set that we have. So let's talk a little bit about what we can take away from this whole situation, even though it may not have happened like we wanted it to.
Right. Well, one of the things that I've gotten is just a ton of support. So I did videos on the Grimmspeed YouTube page, probably for 6 years now. And our YouTube page wasn't the biggest. We didn't really prioritize it up until the last couple of years when I really took control of the marketing department, because I believe that YouTube, where this video is going to reside, is a really great way to get the company and the personal name out there. So people get attached to both. I mean, there's lots of videos that I come home to, make some dinner, throw it on, and see what the update is. I was a big watcher of B is for Bill. Those videos I'd watch, every 3-4 days when he put them out. It was like, all right, the new one's here. What's he working on? What kind of projects? And it was always cool to see that, and then go to events where you saw the cars, like at SEMA, or maybe even some of the local stuff if the cars were shipped in. So the ability to be able to have the skills to be on camera, to talk to people, to come up with concepts and ideas, those are some of my kind of biggest takeaways. And that following, it was tremendous. I mean, I started my YouTube page like a week ago, really being serious about it, and went from 30 followers to 2,500. I mean, that's peanuts compared to your page and a bunch of influencer pages, and I'm hoping to grow that after videos like this. But to go from 30-some to thousands is huge, and that's kind of almost like a physical takeaway from the company, that because people enjoyed what I did on YouTube, because they enjoyed me at events, they are willing to back me without really a strong game plan of what's happening. I don't know what the future is for me specifically. I've got ideas, and I'm kind of being flexible in what I do and what kind of media I put out. But I retained the following, which is something I'm absolutely grateful for. And I would guess you had a very similar experience, but tenfold.
Yeah, no, you mentioned those comments and the supports, and I think people overlook that sort of stuff. It may just seem like such a small gesture, but to us, it's huge. That's literally all we have right now, right? Is your guys' support, and the words, the kind words. It really does help us get through this. Yes, the bump in subscribers is great, but actually being able to interact with everybody is what makes this what I want to do, and I'm sure that's the same for you. Mm-hmm. It's always been about the people. It's what I've enjoyed about working at SubiSpeed, going to the Wicked Big Meet, going to the SubiFest events, and being able to see the customers come up and, you know, thank me for the videos that I make and tell me like, wow, your videos have helped me install all these sort of parts, or your videos is what made me want to buy this car. And taking pictures and such, and seeing little kids come up to me and do the same thing, like having an impact on the younger generation, that like puts a smile on my face instantly, because that's what I want to do. Like, I want to be able to have that impact on people, to be able to, you know, go out and work on their own car and know that they can do the exact same thing that I'm doing.
Right, and you're literally inspiring people's hobbies and careers for decades to come. I mean, at some point, somebody showed us how to work on a car, or showed us a cool car. You know, I must have seen a Forester at some point that made me want to build one like I did, and same with your 86. And so now we have the luxury, but we have the obligation of kind of passing that forward. And media like this is one of the best ways to do it. Going to an event is great and getting a couple dozen eyes on your car, but posting a video and getting 100,000 views is super cool. It helps us move forward. It helps with our individual careers, but also it helps people that are just getting into the hobby. Not somebody that's got a built 600 horsepower BRZ, but somebody that's 14 and can't even drive yet and is dreaming of getting a stock BRZ or Forester or WRX or anything. So that is a really cool thing. But it also made me think, while we were talking, you were talking about Subi events. What would you say are some of your favorite experiences? And we could talk about this probably a solo video, because over the number of years that we put into these companies, there's hundreds of experiences. But I'm curious if you had a couple that come to mind. Yeah.
I actually spoke about this recently in a previous video, but Tokyo Auto Salon, being able to attend Tokyo Auto Salon, essentially the SEMA of Tokyo, but just even crazier, and the culture shock of being able to go over there and experience it in person. That is going to be one of my favorite experiences. I also was able to go do a racing school and in an F4 car. Absolutely blew my mind. I had never sat in an open wheel car before, let alone being able to drive it at Circuit of the Americas. I felt like a Formula One driver. It's probably as close as I'll ever get.
That's amazing.
But that was crazy. Let's see. And just being able to meet people and build those relationships.
Right.
That I wouldn't been able to if it weren't for that position.
Right, and that brings to mind actually a specific thing for me is through going to these Subi events, you meet a lot of influencers, and that's always great. And I also got to meet people from outside of the automotive world at the time. I am and was big into skateboarding, and when I was young, we'd play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and Bucky Lassick was one of my favorite guys to play on the game. And then I started seeing him at events. It's like, oh, he's right over there. And then we kind of got to the point where whenever we set up at the Subi events, he'd come by and kind of shoot the shit with us in the morning, and we'd go and have dinner with him. And I just remember thinking, wow, that's so cool that I got the opportunity to be face to face with kind of a hero of mine through the career choice, and how did it go from just enjoying skateboarding to being front and center at these events, meeting these kind of people, and seeing Travis Pastrana walk by or Scott Speed. That was really cool. And then a couple of other things, like trips that came to mind when we dropped the Trails by Grimmspeed program probably a year and a half or two ago. Me and one of our media guys got to fly out to Utah and basically take 2 brand new Subarus out with Trails by Grimmspeed stuff on them for off-roading for 2 days, just filming and having fun. And it really felt like one of these videos or movies that I would watch when I was young, going, oh my God, these guys work for this company and they get to do this. They get to fly out to a different state, a different country, film and do their thing. It looks like a blast. And maybe like a bit like Top Gear. I grew up watching that and watching those dudes in the Alps drifting cars around. Like, someday I want to do that. So to be able to be on a mountain in Utah with these off-road cars was just incredible. And then obviously we have the footage to show off afterwards, and seeing the success of that program grow and seeing the company grow, like, it doesn't get any better than that. And the fortunate thing that I have to say is I've got 100 of those experiences, whether it's traveling or creating something or working with certain people. And that's why you'll see me so optimistic about my time at Grimmspeed. Like, yeah, I could have kept going and I could have had more of those experiences, but man, I was lucky enough to get the amount that I already did. And I'm guessing you feel about the same way.
Yeah, I mean, people say, "Oh, you guys have the dream job. You get to just mess around with cars all day and do all the cool stuff." And while that's not always the case, those sort of experiences and those trips make it all worthwhile. All that hard work to be able to, like you said, go out and do that trip with what was that? The Outback, you said?
Yeah, we had the Outback
Yeah.
and a Crosstrek.
Yeah, and for me, it was going to the Grid Life events and the track events, because without this, I probably wouldn't be tracking my car. I wouldn't be into that. But my first track event was my first legit one was one that it was kind of thrown to me like, hey, we're gonna go out to a trip to VIR to film a video, and we're gonna let you do a beginner track day as well. And I was able to do it in a track prepped FRS, and that's really what drove me to want to get an FRS for my track car, and then it just blew up from there. So yeah, the experiences are something we'll always cherish.
Right. Well, and we talked about some of the takeaways from work, and each one of those experiences is a takeaway. It's something that's a skill builder. It's something that puts you towards the path of what you want to do. And I think that's kind of how we've gotten to this point. So I want to talk about, without making this a super long video, we're about half hour in or so. What are you looking forward to most now that you're independent? And this could be like pretty quick, because I think we could turn that into a separate video. If we get a good enough reception for this one, that people are tuning in and sharing it around and we're getting some subs and likes from it, there's no reason we can't put out video number 2 where we talk about that type of stuff. Maybe we talk about the industry more in depth. I mean, we kind of breezed over what's happening and some of our concerns and where we think we're going. Those could all be separate videos. So if you guys want that stuff, we would love to see it in the comments. But for now, Kevin, what are you looking forward to the most in the coming months?
Yeah, so this whole situation has really opened my eyes to the possibilities that are in front of me. I feel like when I was at the position I was, there was kind of a cap over my head where that's essentially where I was going to stay the whole time. There was no more going up. But now that I'm removed from that situation, I have so many other opportunities that have arisen that have opened my eyes to the possibilities of whether it's working with another company or building my own company. But I think the thing that I'm most looking forward to is just being able to build my own YouTube channel and interact with my viewers and subscribers and supporters, and knowing that this is all through my own hard work, and it makes it that much more enjoyable. And, you know, I had started this channel because I was getting burnt out from doing videos at work, and I wanted to have fun doing this again. And this has really, you know, given me that push and made it fun again. So I'm glad that I had this to kind of fall back on. Obviously, it's not going to replace my income that I had, but it's better than nothing, and I'm able to have fun with it. How about you, Art?
Well, man, I gotta say, you look happy and you're optimistic about the whole situation, and I'm trying to do the same thing. And that's a takeaway for people watching this. A lot of people commented, hey, I lost my job too, or I'm going through a tough time, and I'm hoping that we could be at least a bit of a beacon as to, man, we lost our dream jobs very suddenly, and we're still out here, and not only are we surviving, but we're thriving. We're very optimistic about where we're going forward. So super cool to hear you say that, and it's inspiring for me. The conversations we've had personally are the reason that I'm moving towards similar things. Like, I'm trying to grow my YouTube page as well, and I've seen a really nice bump to begin with, and I'm hoping I see one after this video. And posting my own videos, I'm going to go for kind of a variety of things that I didn't get a chance to do at work. We had, you know, a product review or an installation thing, but it was a little bit harder to get loose content put on. So something that maybe is a little more funny, or interview style, or maybe like a breakdown of a car, like I just did on my Forester. The freedom to do the type of videos that I want to do, and the type of videos that my audience is asking for, is something that gets me really excited. So I'm going to be growing my YouTube. I'm going to be growing my Instagram, probably hopping on TikTok, and, you know, doing the standard things that a lot of other people are doing, just to get my name out there, even more so, and probably beyond the Subaru community too. Like, I'm a diehard Subaru guy, and I'll always have this Forester, and it's only going to keep getting better. But I've got a ton of other builds. I've got a Toyota Cressida. I've got a Toyota Previa. I've got a CX500 motorcycle. I've got a ton of stuff that I'm going to be working on and presenting on that channel. So, I mean, I just want to end it with this. Kevin, thank you for getting eyes on me a little bit more. I really appreciate that you've been an inspiration for me, and kind of something to look towards and say, hey, this guy's doing it. I can do the same thing. And in fact, we can even partner on some stuff and do things together, because two heads is better than one in a lot of these situations. So thank you. Thank the audience. Thank my future followers. If you guys aren't subbed to my page at the Notorious ART, please follow me. I would appreciate it. And Kevin, you want to close this thing down?
Yeah, man. No, literally, this is what I made my videos for, is to be able to inspire people to do the exact same thing. I'm no different than anybody else. I am just, I've said it before, a car enthusiast with a camera. I didn't know anything when I just started out. I figured it out, and so can you guys. So thank you to everyone who has supported both of us along the way. I know some of you guys watch both of our channels. If you don't already, go check out Art. He has some great stuff coming along the way. I'm jealous of his Forester, but maybe it's something we'll do in the future. Yeah. But
I appreciate really, Kevin. Let's get these two cars together at one of these points, and let's make another one of these videos, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to work out, man. Hopefully everyone else enjoyed.
Take it easy, buddy.
Yep, see ya.
If you have made it this far, first off, thank you for watching. Make sure to check out Art's channel as well. And if you have suggestions on what else you'd like to see from us, we are all ears. Leave it in the comments section. If you're enjoying all the new content, hit that subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.